It does the best kind.
Hello. How is everyone out there? They used to say TV land back when we were kids.
Land, yeah.
Now that I'm a 50-year-old old fogey, I can
You
say
change everything. No one has an expectation now that you're 50.
I'm gonna say everything dated possible. I'm not even gonna try to be cool or in the times anymore. I'm just gonna say very dated things from here.
Well, you should start every sentence with these kids nowadays.
These kids nowadays with their,
They don't know.
They really don't. They don't know. They don't know how to put aluminum foil on the antenna to get a signal on the
They'll
phone.
walk across the room.
Yeah, or their fancy color TV and no remote.
They don't know how good they have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, anyway, this is Ed and Chris, and we ramble. But main reason we're on here is to talk about wines and our virtual wine tasting we do every Thursday. We, of course, do it here in person at 6 o'clock on Thursday nights. But as considering the way the world is now, we have more and more people wanting to do virtual tastings, and we're happy to do it because it gives Chris and I a chance to sit
Keep
down.
it coming.
Yeah, sit down, drink some wine, and talk about wine even more. That seems like all we ever do. We got into some pretty good wines. It was, just in case you didn't know, it was my birthday. I just turned 50, and Chris he brought me this beautiful wine for Christmas that we opened up. 2008 Bertani Amarone Valpolicella. It was intense.
It was working. It's that old, and it's hitting like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, it would be good for 30 years.
I mean,
of course, we can't risk that because
get that
50 was a miracle.
Yeah, let's get that
80's just being ridiculous. But anyway,
I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe this wine stuff's working for us.
I've never met a sick pickle.
That's true. Well, and also, just on a side note, I had gone a whole week without drinking because I got sick, and that's why we didn't do a tasting last week. I was down, and, well, of course, the weather was crummy. Most people weren't coming out anyway. But I was on antibiotics all week, so I refrained from the consumption of alcohol. Didn't even taste anything. It was kind of bizarre. It was probably good for me, maybe.
I doubt it. I wouldn't talk that nonsense.
My body's probably gone into shock after that.
It probably prolonged your sickness.
Could be, yeah. I could probably be running marathons right now if I hadn't stopped drinking. Well, anyway, I'm back, Chef.
Thank God. We missed you, and it was tough, and it was hard to see you hurting like that, but you came out just in time to turn another year older and to drink the good stuff.
That's right. And we always have good stuff, right? And so we try to find these great wines that won't bust your budget so you can afford to drink them daily.
Thank you.
And not really sweat the price tags. Just think more about the wine and the food that goes with it. Now, this is an interesting offering from one of the most famous wineries in Napa, Baile. They're famous for Zinfandels. Their Black Rooster Zinfandel is arguably the most famous wine from Napa. I mean, a lot of people will argue that, but there's unquestionably it's a super well known. It really was a trailblazer for Zins, and there's so many wineries that want to copy, to be like Baile. They do offerings of all sorts, but that's what they're most known for. Now, that's a $50, $60, wine shop price wine, and that's not really what we do here. We're not opposed to it, of course, but we're
still talking about doing a couple of side things.
We might do a couple of more elevated price wines for different tastings, but in the format that we're doing here, we were really talking about doing wines that you can drink daily. Mm-hmm. And so they were conscious of that. They realized that not everybody's going to drink their rooster wines every night or even once a week or once a month for that matter. So for some people it's a special occasion wine and worthy of that. I'll tell you, we have had it at the chef's table a couple times over the years for the right dish. And boy,
take my money.
Yeah, there's a lot of people happy. We actually did a party for a wedding that requested it, and we had it. Yeah, the big Zen guy.
Yeah.
And we had it for that, and that was a big hit, obviously. But with that being said, he had reason to celebrate, a couple cases of rooster.
worthy celebration.
Yeah. Well, this is what they call their North Coast Zinfandel. It's called Party Line. Kind of a throwback to, heck, even before my time, back when you used to pick up a phone and you could have 5, 6, 20 families on the same line, and you had to share a line, and it was actively on all the time. It was called a party line, and even as old as I am, that was still before my time.
That's pretty antiquated stuff, but I think that's the challenge. I think for so many, not just one, everybody is trying to the stories.
Oh
You know,
yeah, yeah.
everybody
yeah.
loves that.
Right. Yeah.
A good name with a good story behind it to get people talking, and sometimes we got to reach back.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so this is, Bali's been around a very long time. As a matter of fact, they were around when there was party lines, and some of these vines on their property date back to the 1880s. So before the telephone, as a matter of fact. So they do have quite a bit of history. They are a mainstay of California, specifically Napa. But with this new offering that they called North Coast, that expands out of Napa County. So that, if you don't know, that adds Sonoma, Lake, and Mendocino counties, and they're all wonderful wine-making regions. They're just not as specific to Napa. And if you don't know, Napa is crazy expensive for land. So you can get much better. Now, Sonoma's approaching that as well.
Lake County area too. I mean,
they're
you're really
all
starting to see some elevated offerings from them. But
right, but the land's still
worth
relatively to Napa. It's less expensive.
Yeah, sure.
So they can offset some of their costs, particularly for land costs, and they can produce blends of the 4 counties or 3 or 2 or whatever they may want to do, and you still get that regional flavor that you're looking for a Zinfandel. It's certainly Napa-esque because these counties are all bunched together. They are big counties, mind you, but these are all great winemaking counties. And just keep looking for Mendocino and Lake. Everybody knows Sonoma. Everybody knows Napa. But Mendocino and Lake are huge producers, and they're just only going to get better. And they're
a lot easier to get around that area too.
Mm-hmm.
Napa's really congested and hard to get around. And even when you have your holdings or your properties or whatever, it's still a challenge to work and to get around and to make things happen. And
it's a busy place.
It's a busy place, and I think Sonoma's a bit more easier to farm.
Yep, I would agree. So here we go. Let's dive in, Chef. And
it's delicious. I love the nose on it. It's very mossy.
Yeah.
Which you don't really expect from a Sonoma wine, and just a real dry, smoky flavor on this. Normally the Zins are not that it's not fruity, but it's a lot drier than I expected it to be.
It is a very dry red. I would say very high-toned red fruits here, almost approaching tart.
Yep. Is it the cherry, raspberry?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep, so maybe like a underripe, maybe even some underripe red apple in here.
Can't
Cranberry.
get enough of this soft fit cranberry. Yeah.
But it is toasty, Chef.
The soft finish, the round notes. I mean,
yeah, it's interesting to get that combination of tart and roundness. A lot of times I don't always see those together in the same wine. They tend to, generally speaking, for me, when I get these tartar flavors, it tends to be a thinner wine, or maybe not just as polished as this one is. And wow, it's a lot of bang for the buck.
Well, it's like a Pinot lover's Zin, because it has the fruit and the pepper and all of that, but and the finish though is very Pinot-esque. I mean, it softens at the end. Zins tend to kind of stay with you. This really softens up. It's beautiful.
And none of that jamminess.
None. Zero.
Yeah. This is not like a Lodi. It's its own little bird, and it's not the red rooster either. So. Or the black rooster, I'm sorry.
Well, but it's not far from it. This reminds me of those Geyserville Zins back in the day. Very much like this, where they drank
like Marietta,
and they're just drinking above their pay grade, in my opinion.
This is a really generous offering from Baile. This is only $22, and we got a really good deal on it. That's an exceptional price for you guys. It's probably 30 most places, but anyway, regardless of that, it drinks well above that price point.
Well above it.
And
I'm legitimately surprised.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
when you said their entry level Zen, I was like, oh, I'm gonna suffer through this. But I mean, whoa.
Yeah, there's no
Wow.
suffering. There's no suffering
Well, you
going
know,
on
for
here.
me,
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
the Zens
Oh, yeah.
hit me in the wrong spot.
Well, yeah, you're not big on jammy stuff.
But like the high end Zens aren't that, and so I just
Right.
eat those up. But of course, you can't really have those very often. But
Right.
this, wow, you get the.
What a nice long finich too.
It's
Almost at the end, I'm getting almost kind of like almost a candied note at the end. That tart bright fruit kind of comes down and just it almost smolders.
You know when you
through
have
the-
an apple pie, like the kind of the juice that runs off
Yeah.
of it, that's caramelized.
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, that's it. I love it. A lot of I get a lot of like red apple skin in
Well,
this.
that's what I'm saying. If you use the red apple on a pie, maybe you saute them beforehand and not you get that just that little juice. That's
How about
just
an
real
apple cherry pie together?
Easy.
Like just
Easy.
mixing that fruit in there, a
Easy.
mixed fruit pie. Anyway,
Easy.
as you can tell, there's a lot to talk about, and when you're pulling out lots of things about a wine, that usually means it's a complex wine, and complex wine almost always means it's a quality wine.
True
And
story.
if we've got a lot to talk about, that's usually a good wine.
Well, and there is a lot to talk about this. I mean, not only regionally, but and the pedigree, but this wine is going through a lot of changes. The front, the middle, and the back, and it has a lot to offer, an awful lot to offer.
It's really nice because the tannins are not building tannins. They're not tannins that are going to leave you looking for a glass of water. It's dry. They're just there.
They're just there. They're just on the roof, and all the rest of the flavors carry through, and just a little tannin remains to keep it there. But it's just the right amount. You don't normally get a good dry tannin in a Zen, and so this is a real treat.
Yes.
Remember those Turley Zens back in the
Turley's world class.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think they've gone through a few changes. I haven't had them 5 or 10 years, but
Right.
we used to drink those I used to always look forward to the new vintages of
Right.
those to try them, and
Yep.
they're really reminiscent of that, the style.
Right, and I don't think we don't really do a lot of Zens on our videos, so I'm glad that we've kind of dug back in there. I know I've got a lot of Zen fans out there that they come to the restaurant and watch
You
our
really
videos.
do. You really do.
And our boy Bub up on the mountain, he loves the Zen.
Zens and petites and
Yeah.
petite Syrahs. He's a big fruit guy.
Yeah, so this is a grape that maybe we should revisit a little bit more.
That's got me wanting to. When we had a Zen back when we were filming in the middle floor, not in the cellar. Remember we filmed right out by the windows.
Oh yeah.
People kept knocking on the window.
That's
so
right.
we didn't film there anymore.
Was
We were
that
having
the,
a Zen that
was
night.
That the Pirano Estate.
It may have been. It was actually I think it was. I want to say it was I don't know if Pirano offered an upper echelon. It was either the upper echelon of a middle of the road wine, or
Right.
it was the lower one of a really high end one.
Right.
It may have been Marietta.
Yeah.
It may. Now I think about it.
Oh, and
but it's got me missing that Geyserville. I want to revisit that now because
well, I'll make that happen, Chef, because I love it. That's one of my favorites. And we just did
good
the
stuff.
chef's table. So we did a big Valentine's special chef's table on Sunday night. We did, it was so busy around Valentine's. We opted out on offering it on Friday and Saturday because the restaurant's so busy. We want to make sure we took care of everybody. Chef, that was a beautiful special menu you had. And then Sunday, we doubled down and did closed the restaurant at night and just did the chef's table only. And we had that Frank family Zen.
that's great.
Holy moly, that was nice.
It was a huge lineup. You had the double L on there, which was
Yeah,
great.
from Morgan, yeah, that was beautiful.
Then you had the Gamay, which was
we had
outstanding.
a Premier Cru.
Premier Cru.
Yeah, we had a good Sancerre.
Sancerre. It was just a beautiful lineup, and we had some really high-end ingredients.
Oh yeah,
We had foie gras and lobster and wagyu tenderloin,
lamb, rabbit.
lamb and rabbit. I mean, it was just North Carolina oysters.
Scallop.
I had a
salmon, tuna, that bluefin.
chin. Yeah, the sea scallop. That was a big hit.
If you haven't done the chef's table,
You got to get in there. I'm telling you. I mean, that was one dinner. All those things we just listed. This was not a
8
month's worth.
courses.
We had 2 kinds of caviar. Italian black truffles.
Yeah, we had it all.
Spoiled rotten.
Yep. Well, Chef, speaking of spoiled rotten, what do you think you'll be throwing at them for this wine, for their pairing?
Would you help me eat? I'm going to do the Border Springs lamb loin. Will you help me eat the leftovers? Because, I mean, that lamb loin is significant. There's going to be a little...
And there's nothing you can do.
You can't make soup out of a handful of lamb.
And we have to keep our strength. What better
Especially
way than...
you, at your age. Maybe I'll make a smoothie out of it.
That's right. Can you then put it back together in the shape of a lamb? So I know what I'm eating?
Actually, yes, I will do that.
I love it. Well, yeah, so I'm going to be getting old jokes for the next 3 months until Chris turns 50 in May. So I am in my 50s, and Chris is only in his 40s.
I'm a child.
Yeah.
I'm just a child.
He has his whole life ahead of him.
I just like looking around and seeing all these people who are 50 and wondering,
how do they do it?
How do they do it?
How do
Not
they
going to be me.
How do they even get out of bed in the morning?
I mean, God, 50.
Did you hear my back just crack?
I'm used to it. that started 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, as you well know, Border Springs lamb is probably there's really no competition, but I would say it's the best lamb in the world.
I think you have a very crowded room. I would agree with you.
I would love to see the competition, but I haven't seen it yet.
And I'll say this: there's some great lamb that I've had around here,
right,
from North Carolina and Virginia, especially Virginia. Well, obviously Border Springs is right across, but I've had that Foxfire and. Hannah's lamb is great.
Oh yeah. Now if she starts going commercial, then that would definitely be a run for Border Springs.
Because and she is such a she knows animals as well as anybody. So
she has show lambs. Mm-hmm. So they're fancy lambs.
There are some great lamb around here. We support other farms and their lamb endeavors too, but. At Border Springs, there's something I don't know, and of course, we're not going to find out. But the marbling, the fat, and their lamb is unparalleled. I mean, in every cut, it's like we had a little bit of we had somebody else's lamb loin, a few weeks ago, and it was great. And it was great, but it was dense. The flavor was delicious, but you put them side by side, you see all that marbling. Mm-hmm. It's just fat is flavor.
Yep.
Pure and simple, fat is flavor, and
that's why we love that Wagyu beef so much.
It's worth loving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't think a tenderloin, which is, I know everybody loves filet, but it's the least exciting of all the cuts in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That wasn't. No. That was exciting. I mean,
And Chris was very generous, so he gave me and my girlfriend Lisa some risotto and steak for dinner. Mm-hmm. And we had a...
Well, you didn't want to start your go home at 11 o'clock on Sunday night after the week we had and start dinner. So it was nice to just probably go home and have that.
It was. It was nice. Although I know it would have been better with a bottle of wine, but I was still on my antibiotics. So, but
I'd rather get sick and die than not have some wine with
it was still absolutely delicious. She had a glass of wine, but we absolutely that was nice having a midnight Valentine's dinner together.
Truffles
with Wagyu, truffles, and beautiful risotto. Well, let's move on here to this cab. And it is absolutely a beauty. I used to have this on the list here at the winery a couple of years ago. This is Luigi Bosca cab. It's actually out of Mendoza, Argentina.
They've got a great Malbec too.
They really do. They actually do. And of course, most people know them for their Malbec because they're from Argentina, and that seems to be the thing that you have to cut your teeth with. But as we see more and more and more, that there are so many emerging varietals coming from South Africa, or South America rather, and
same thing.
Yeah, right, south of the border. How about that? So with that being said, this cab is awesome. Now, the thing I like about it the most is it drinks more Old World than New World. You're not going to mistake this for a California cab. You're not going to mistake this for an Australian cab. It is certainly New World, but it has such great structure and spice. I really like it. It reminds me of, it leans more towards, European sensibilities, French.
It has that Bordeaux spice. It really does.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. And it's one of those things that probably the masses aren't going to fall in love with, but the serious wine person is going to appreciate and love. I had some diehard regulars that were all about this wine. And it wasn't about the volume of wine that we sold. It was this customer satisfaction on this one. So I thought I'd show it to you guys, and we'll see what you think about it. This family first came over in 1890 to Argentina from Italy and started the winery officially in 1901. So we're talking about incredible lineage. The grandchildren and great-grandchildren are currently in charge of the winery. And like Chris said, they have certainly a flagship Malbec. And we can visit that one later on. If we want to circle back around, Chef, we can do that. But they also do plenty of other varietals, and I highly recommend their whole portfolio. But today we're going to focus on this cab. And I think there's a lot you can do with this wine, food-wise.
It's this is great, and I love the Argentinian cabs, and I guess my age is catching up with me too. What's your boy's name from Napa? Does like the Cross Barn?
Hobbs.
Paul Hobbs has holdings in Argentina and is producing some of the best cabs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're insane.
Yeah,
and reasonable too. One of them's got a salamander or something on it. I forget the names of them, but they're really impressive.
Yeah, that Cross Barn is not cheap either. It's just cheap compared to Hobbs.
For Hobbs, which you're starting out,
$250, $300 a bottle, and you can get his Cross Barn for like
70 bucks. Yeah, and Ed would be able to pick those two apart, but to the casual, not even casual, somebody who drinks a lot of cabs, that Cross Barn, I put it against anything.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah, it just shows you what one of the upper echelon. Hobbs is obviously in that pantheon of winemakers that, it seems like, he could go to the Sahara and come back with a great cab.
But when he chose to leave, when he chose any place other than California, he chose Argentina. And that should tell you something about this area. It is desired amongst the best of winemakers.
And this and I'm glad you nailed it early, so I didn't struggle with the words. It's the spice, which is so much fun. This is a fun wine.
This one's is a little bit drier. Of course, it's cab. It's going to have more tannins and zin. But again, it's not overly assertive. It's not, it's not a vanilla bomb. It's not overdone.
And the vanilla's there, and you'll taste it early, but it doesn't bloom.
Right.
Like a lot of vanillas will become syrupy. This is not. This is a very fine wine, and it's changing in the glass already.
It is, and you're talking about something that would go so well with all sorts of food. And Chef, I know this. We don't always think of cab with Italian food, but with this structure, I think this would go great with Italian food too.
Pastas, risottos. You name it, it would be delicious. Anything red is gonna. Red sauce is gonna benefit from that.
That's lovely. Well, what are you gonna throw at it?
Well, because we're on the Italian thing, we're gonna use. I got some of those end pieces, those Italian black truffles.
Nice.
So we're gonna do a little Italian black truffle and goat cheese fritters with this.
Nice.
So I got a little fritter kick this week. Last week rather. We were doing a little fritter in our
in the lobster
bisque, and I thought that was a nice touch. And so I'm gonna make a new batch, and but it's gonna be a little sharper. We're gonna shave some truffle and Parmesan into it, mix it a little bit, and flash. I think that would be a great little treat with this.
Oh man.
Well, the creaminess of the goat cheese is really going to help this wine because it is spicy. And I mean, not spicy, but
Yeah.
some fat is really going to help this wine right along. And of course, the pungent truffles just right at home in the Cabernet.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful. Hello. That's a great call. I'm looking forward to that. We do expect a little bit of inclement weather tomorrow, so if for some reason we can't do pickups tomorrow, we'll just plan on doing it Friday, because it's supposed to just kind of be a one-day event. If it happens, they haven't been really good at predicting.
They haven't been good at this, but at the same time, ice is a different monster.
Mm-hmm.
You can get in your truck and drive in the snow. You can get in your Subaru and drive in the snow. Nobody can do anything in ice, and so we're going to err on the side of caution for our staff. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to obviously put them in any position to be hurt. Like if somebody leaves here at night at 7:30, they may be perfectly fine. But by the time the staff leaves at 10:30, we're not talking about. I think that's one of the things people don't understand. Like, well, why are you closing so early? Because we don't walk out with the customers, and the temperature variations can be dramatic
once that sun goes down.
And also too, traffic really slows down after 8 o'clock. And those couple of hours, by the time traffic slows down and we leave, the roads, the constant traffic helps keep the roads wet.
Yeah.
Because the heat from the vehicles and the thing, but the black ice forms a lot quicker later at night when the traffic's. Anyway, I can ramble on. We're going to look out for the staff. So maybe we'll be here. They'll get it wrong. If not, we'll certainly be here Friday.
Yeah, we do have our backup plan. But we got a backup plan, so we're good. But we have wine to pick up, and we just want to make sure that y'all are safe getting here and we're safe getting out of here.
Yep.
So
that'd be great. And either way, day doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We all will wait one more day, and hopefully we won't. I mean, they're batting a 0 this year on the weather forecast.
They're terrible at predicting weather.
When this all falls apart, we're going into the weather business.
That's right. You get somebody's steak wrong once, they turn on it. Get the weather wrong, no one seems to care.
Well, not only that, I mean, they'll tell everyone, hey, these guys can't cook over there.
Right, yeah. Even though you had 10 perfect steaks in a row. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. It's a cruel business.
It is, and but somehow our love for the craft keeps us bulletproof against that in a sense, I guess. I
wouldn't say we're bulletproof. I think I think if
we can dust it off.
We can dust it off.
Yeah,
but it sticks with you. It's got some tape on it, but I think that's one of the hardest things to learn, especially when you got a lot of youngins here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
is they get really emotional about criticism, whether it comes from Ed or I or from a customer or whatever. I think that's one of the things about being our ripe old age is you learn big picture stuff when you're older. Things like so what's when you're a young lad, those things I think it's harder to
hurts a little more.
It does. Yeah.
Well, I've had enough rotten tomatoes thrown at me over the years that I don't. It doesn't hurt as much.
No, you just go home and do it again tomorrow.
Well, let's try to get through this little ice storm so we can drink wine together.
Yes.
Whenever you're viewing this, I hope that you're safe and warm. Hopefully you have power and some of Chris's delicious food in front of you. And if there's any other wines that y'all are looking for, remember, I'm always here to help you find those special wines and any wines that we've had in the past. I got to tell you, lately, Chef, I've been getting so many requests for wines that we had 3 months, 2 years ago. People kind of going back through, hey, do you still have that Gavi? Do you have that Oregon Pinot Gris? And a lot of reorders, which I love that too.
Well, we were just sitting here saying, let's get some Geyserville, let's get some Marietta.
Well, that's true.
Let's get some Turley. I mean, we're going down memory lane, going, we got to get this. So, I mean, it's great.
Yeah. So keep us in mind for anything like that, and any kind of specialty cheeses and meats. Chef Chris is always looking. He's always hunting, and so if there's something out there that you're looking for. I know we got a little disrupted with skipping a week last week, so if there's anything else that y'all are looking for, just holler and let us know. We'll track it down.
And obviously, if you anything you need, some oysters or fish.
The seafood's killer.
Killing.
Man.
Killing.
Well, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks for being with us.
See ya.
See you soon.